Consciousness doesn't want anything. Why does it dream, or what is dream in this world? A few months ago, there was an experience of that which is beyond the body, mind and world, and it doesn't do anything and doesn't have any needs or wants. Then why did it create the world? Or is there something beyond that? Thank you. You're only asking that question not because of consciousness, not because consciousness or who you truly are cares about the answer. You're asking it from the person that feels what you feel. So that's a you question. So you want to know, basically, you want to know what the meaning of your life is, and then you're like, why does consciousness dream this dream? Because you on the human level want to know, more than likely, what the meaning of your life is. Like, what is the purpose of me being here? And that on the human level, you can't think about that. Really, on the human level, your life is about survival. But survival sounds so derogative in a way, like a put down. Like, it's like on the human level, your life is about producing, eating, going to the toilet, having fun, socializing, and making babies. And it's absolutely pointless, all of that. It means nothing. It's just the way this life is set up. It means absolutely nothing. It's the circle of life. You can see it in all other animals. They're all doing the same things. And as you begin to realize, or there is awakening, that your consciousness, it doesn't matter whether your life has pointed or not point. It doesn't matter. It's what you're doing, like the simplicity of doing your everyday survival things, of cooking food and working or whatever it is, becomes meaningful because of its intimacy, because of the doing of it. So there is an in-loveness with what you're doing, and the person doesn't need to know the answer of what is my meaning and where am I going and does this mean anything, because it's totally uninterested in that level of thinking. That level of thinking is seeking energy. What is my meaning? You really believe that words have meaning, and then you believe that the question, what is my meaning, or why does this life appear in the first place, has meaning. But words inherently are meaningless. They don't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything, table or computer. It's just our way of communicating. And then you want to find a big meaning in it, like the meaning of life is to save all other humanity, or the meaning of life is to wake up or become enlightened, or the meaning of life is to spread love, or the meaning of life is to communicate with aliens, or the meaning of life is to write the best film or book or novel you can, or the meaning of life is to spread love. Whatever it is that the human thinks, but that will change. You'll always change your opinion. So one week you'll think it's spreading love, the next you'll be like, no, it's having political activism against the government, and then the week after that you'll be like, no, it's contacting aliens. And then you'll see that nothing has meaning. They're just words that you've put together. It's the silence of your presence that has true meaning, and that doesn't care about these questions like you experienced in your awakening. It's your seeking energy, and then you believe that that will give you something answering these questions, and it won't. But you can also satisfy yourself by saying the meaning of life is to wake up and hold to that idea. That's something which they say in non-duality. It's not true. because there is no meaning, but it's relaxing for the person. Okay, the meaning to my life is waking up and I'm going to dedicate my life to it. And it makes you feel hopeful and feel like you've got purpose, and you go out into your life with purpose. And that's good in one sense. On the human level, that's good to motivate you, but it's ultimately all bullshit. You have no meaning. You have nothing. You just are. Nothing means anything. But psychologically, this is a whirlwind for you, because psychologically, that's not balancing for the human. And I can talk you through the human level of what balancing thoughts are, and having objectives for your day are good, and to focus on goals on the human level is a good thing, but it's still all meaningless on the absolute level. But it's difficult, because I know psychologically, if you believe on the human level you've got no meaning and that everything's pointless, then you'll more than likely get depressed, and you'll not do things, and you'll begin to lose energy, and that's no good either. On the human level, it's good to focus on what you want and to set goals every day and to try to achieve those goals, and that feels very satisfying. I just said all of that incredibly quickly, AR. I hope that your first language is English, and that was easy for you to understand. Maybe might need to rewatch it a few times. It's a question, meaning is a question all the time that I'm being asked. I think I'm going to go through it again right now, because it's such a difficult subject. So I'm going to first of all talk about the human. So a balanced human, yes to all you said, thank you so very much. Oh, with pleasure, AR, but I'm going to go through it again. So a balanced human is somebody that wakes up in the morning and it has jobs to do, and it has goals set out, and it achieves some of those goals, and it has a feeling that it can do things. It has a feeling that it's empowered, and it feels strong and capable. A depressed human, an unvital human, is somebody that doesn't set out goals, that spends most of their time in bed all day, feels like they can't do things, feel like they're a failure, feel like they're disempowered, and that nothing has any meaning. This is a happy human, a more balanced human, and a less balanced human. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other. It's just two states of playing, and then sometimes people are on a spectrum in between. So you've got the de-vital one and the vital one. And this one, the vital one that feels empowered and feels all these things, is going to be a more happier and balanced person. It's still seeking though, so there's still suffering there. And if everything goes wrong, that person will fall into a pit of suffering. So it's not that one's not suffering, but it's a more balanced human, and it can do things and it can achieve things, and it feels empowered, and this one feels more depressive. So when this one, both can get into non-duality, but when the depressive one gets into non-duality, that depressive person already has in the body a big sense of feeling like a failure, that it's life meaningless, that it can't do things, that things are hopeless. And then when it gets into non-duality and it hears the non-duality teacher like happily saying, yeah, life is meaningless, it's pointless, there's no point to it, which is a really positive statement. And if it makes you feel worse, then you're missing the point. So that depressive one gets into it, hears that, and then agrees with it and feels even more pointless and depressive. It's like, yeah, life is meaningless. It's all right, what I've been saying, but it's taking it personally. It's like, yeah, my life is worthless. So there's more reason to stay in bed all day. There's more reason not to do things. There's more reason to tell myself it's a disaster life. And that's an unbalanced human claiming non-duality to be a personal thing. Non-duality is beyond those two human states. So it's beyond thinking that things have purpose or don't have purpose. So when I'm speaking, I also speak about balancing the human, and this is why it can get confusing, because I also recognize that a human can get very depressed, and a human can fall off the wagon and life becomes disastrous, and then it hears non-duality, and that doesn't help either. So I also talk about balancing the human as well, and reconditioning the human to be more positive and to be more balanced and to be a more happy person. But that's not non-duality. You aren't going to get to non-duality ever because you don't exist. So reconditioning yourself isn't the solution. However, reconditioning yourself to be more balanced and happy might make it easier to hear non-duality, because when the person is really suffering, they're so identified with themselves and they're so focused on self. When they're more happy, they're less focused on themselves. And then there's more possibility to hear this. But you are never going to get enlightened, because who is this you? Who is this you that's going to wake up? So non-duality isn't actually about reconditioning yourself and never saying the F word, never saying the murd word, never saying the B word, and always watching positive vegetarian films. That's not the answer. Always watching somebody running through the field like pa, pa, ah, ah, and always watching listening to angelic music. That's not that's not what non-duality is about. However, all of that stuff can make the person more happy and more balanced. And when they're more happy and balanced, there's a relaxation of you, and then non-duality can be heard. But you are not going to make it. Non-duality isn't about becoming a good person, a better person, a nicer person, a happier person. It's not about that. Non-duality is what's always been here. It's beyond you. You aren't going to get it because you don't exist. You're never going to get it. Who is this you? Who is this you? But hopelessness and pointlessness is a big suffering in humanity. It's something that people highly identify with. That things are hopeless and things are pointless. And yeah, things are pointless, but that's brilliant. Why does it have to be depressive that things have no goal? It's only depressive to the seeker that thinks, I'm one day going to make it in time. There's nowhere to make, so it's just about the enjoyment of what's actually happening. You can't, if you think that you've got to get somewhere, if you've got to arrive at this meaningful place, and you can't ever really appreciate what's happening now. You're always waiting for this extraordinary moment to happen.